Welcome to Change Agent Radio, the podcast made for entrepreneurs who see real estate not only as a job, but as a vehicle of change to create your life on your own terms. We are forward thinkers, industry leaders, relentless pursuers of growth who lead with purpose, live with passion, and are determined to change the world. We challenge complacency, ignore the ordinary, reject the average, and defy the mundane. If you're fed up with misinformation, mediocrity, and the status quo, if you want to list more homes, sell more homes, have more time, and impact more lives, then this show is for you. I'm Jay Berraby, real estate agent, coach, entrepreneur, husband, father, and change agent. This is Change Agent Radio. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Change Agent Radio. I have Tyler Steenken with me today, and I didn't pronounce that name incorrectly. It's Steenken. Tyler, did I get that right, Tyler?
You did, Jay. You did, Jay. I appreciate you having me. Super excited to talk with your audience about different ways that agents can grow their business. So let's do it.
Yeah, dude. So if you guys don't know, Tyler has been with Cole Realty Resource. And if you don't know Cole, then you need to know Cole. But Tyler has been the director of business development over there for the past 15 years. So he knows pretty much who's doing business, how to get them to do business. And Cole has been a big part of this industry and creating leads for people for a long time now. Tyler, I'm not going to tell people about Cole. Tell everybody about Cole.
Yeah, I mean, we've been around forever, Jay. When I mean that, I mean 70 years, right? 7 decades. So prior to technology, prior to the internet, right? Folks used us for these big blue, what were called crisscross directories, right? So if you're any small business, including a real estate agent, you'd buy one of these books. Let's say you're in Miami or Houston. It'd have all the streets in Lincoln, Nebraska, where I live, in alphabetical order. I open up a directory. It'd find Patterson Street, and it'd tell me everybody who lived up and down Patterson Street by house number with their phone number, things like that. So any small business, like in real estate, if you want to invite neighbors in an open house, go open a directory, find everybody who lives on that street. You know, we were on an episode of Law and Order a decade or so ago where they said, hey, go grab the cold crisscross directory so they can find all the apartment tenants in a specific building in the New York City metro, right? So that's what we've been doing. Fast forward to where we're at now. We provide cell phone numbers and emails included with landlines for everybody tied to an address and within a specific neighborhood, right? So if you want to know everybody who lives in Pine Oak subdivision, we can tell you their addresses, their phone numbers, their emails, all that fun stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's what people need. That's what real estate agents need. So let me ask you this then, in regards to your average real estate agent client, right? What does that look like? You know, how long have they been in the business for? You know, what does that relationship look like?
Yeah. I mean, it's all across the board, right? So, I mean, obviously, as a brand new agent, where are you going to start your business, right? You should be calling your sphere, right? You should be calling, you know, relatives, people you work with, all that kind of stuff. But then who are you going to call, right? And that's where using a product like ours to go in there and just start farming a specific neighborhood, why it's so needed for a new agent just getting started. But that being said, Jay, I mean, we have clients who have been using us for 10 years, 20 years, longer than that. Because even if you're a very successful agent, then you know that you need to then grow your business. So if you're at 50 listings, how are you going to get to 65? If your goal is 100 and you have 20 more to get, how are you going to get there? Because again, your sphere and referrals are only going to get you so far. And that's where the power of a program like ours comes in to go, you know, leverage data as a way to go in there and create your own leads and create more relationships that are going to be referrals directly for you. So that's how we play it with everybody.
It's, you know, and that's one of the things too, is real estate agents, they fall into that real estate roller coaster. And then what happens is they're not always focused on lead gen. So, you know, they'll generate, you know, 20, 30 leads. And then all of a sudden now it's like, okay, well, I have to do my follow-up. And then now, oh shit, I got 2 listings. I need to service them. And it's like, okay, well, you still need to be doing your lead gen.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter how many deals you do, you still should be doing lead gen and have a source of doing lead gen. So
yeah, absolutely. And Jane, I will say even now more important than ever, because you know, the shift is happening, right? And I don't know if your market has happened yet, and everybody across the country listening to this right now, If it hasn't happened in your market yet, it's about to happen, right? And so the days of you throwing a house on the MLS and getting 10 buyers fighting over that listing are probably over, right? And getting your next door neighbor just to be like, oh yeah, I should sell my house. I can make a lot of money off of it. Like, okay, it's probably now time to step back and figure out, okay, I need to, start grinding it out there. And for agents who are willing to do that, it's good news, because a lot of agents are going to drop out because it's going to be harder than it was over the last 10 years. So
exactly. Yeah. Buckle up and get ready for a ride, man.
Right.
It's agents have to, and you got to be doing the things that you need to be doing so that you're not pushed out of the business. So,
Right.
you know what? One of the things that I align with you so well with is the approach to farming, because it's not, to me, it's not a dirty word to where, back in the day, you give out pumpkins out of your trunk, and do stuff like that, or you just send postcards, every month or twice a month or something. But it's really more to it than that, and that's what I do as well. So why don't you tell everybody, your idea of farming, what you can teach them, and how you can show them, right, how they can make more money with farming the way that you can do with coal.
Yeah, no, and so I want to give the credit here to a client of ours who's been around, or been a customer of ours for over a decade off and on over the years. So Greg Harrelson, he's an agent in Myrtle Beach. I did an interview with him here a couple of months ago, and he used the term community dominator, right? I just think it has a sexy term to it, right? Like community dominator. So I was asking, Greg, like, okay, how do you dominate your community, or how do you dominate your farms? And he basically says, you got to do everything, right? But if you want to, it's having as many contacts with everybody within that farm for any possible way you can find, right? But the first thing is finding a neighborhood, finding a farm that makes sense to farm. So it's a neighborhood that you live in, that you go to church in, that your kids go to school in. It's a neighborhood with a higher turnover rate. It's a neighborhood that doesn't have somebody in there already dominating it, right? So do your homework and decide, okay, which farms do you want to own? Okay. And then step two is, the first thing to do is introduce yourself, right? And so, what better to do that than maybe some sort of community activity, right? So maybe it's, slushies in the park, a movie in the park, a food drive for the People's City Mission, and that you'll go around collecting canned food, something like that, that's very non-confrontational. And then you can use a program like ours, again, to go map out the neighborhood, get the 800 people that live in Pine Oak subdivision or Edenton South, whatever it is. And then you can, call all those people and email all those people and invite them to be part of that community event that you're holding. And okay, good, because I say that because it's a very non-confrontational way to introduce yourself, right? Now, obviously, anytime you're having a conversation with somebody, then you're pressing a little bit, right? So, oh, how long you lived in the neighborhood? Oh, great. Where are you from originally? Oh, do you have family back there? Have you ever thought about moving back?
One of the hesitations, and I like that, because one of the hesitations that real estate agents have is with making calls is, I don't want to sound salesy, or I don't know what to say, or I'm just afraid to get on the phones. And a lot of times because they don't know what to say, and the sources of leads that they are calling are aggressive, because they're the ones that actually are, looking to sell right then, or just were looking to sell.
Yep, and you're the 45th agent to call them this week already.
Yeah, exactly. And I do that all the time. That's what I built my career on. But the way that you're talking about is step one is, just to recap, right? Step one is
to find the farm, right? Decide what do you want to own, which neighborhood makes the most sense for you to own a neighborhood. Yep. And then two is, be very light at the very beginning. So think about giving back, some sort of community event. Yep.
Yeah, value. So what's step three?
So step three is then going in and trying to figure out, different activities that are going on within the neighborhood, right? So if there's, if there is a listing, but it's not yours, it doesn't mean that you can't call around that listing, right? And still let the neighbors know that there's a new listing in the neighborhood. And if they know of anybody who might want to move into the neighborhood, to let them know, right? A very non-confrontational phone call, but Once you get them on the phone, start having a conversation with them. Again, go hold an open house. It doesn't have to be your listing, but a way for you to hold an open house, call all the neighbors, invite them to the open house, right? So again, any sort of activity that's going on, let those neighbors know about it. And then, create some sort of e-newsletter. So again, Cole, we have at least one email for about 60% of all households. In some neighborhoods, it's way higher than that even. And then as you're doing community events and as you're door knocking, you're getting more emails, you're adding it to a database that's specific for Pine Oak subdivision. And now you're creating an e-newsletter. But again, guys, it has to provide value.
Yeah.
So it's information about like how many houses listed over the last month or 6 months, what the average home value is. Did it go up? Did it go down? That sort of stuff. And yeah, some of the fluff of throwing in a recipe or letting them know about daylight savings time, that's okay. But that doesn't make you seem like the industry expert, right? It shows you that you know how to look at a calendar or, read a clock. So instead, show things that are of value as a real estate agent that not an average schmo can tell you about, right? And that is average days in the market, average price, number of listings, things like that. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's super easy. And this is what we do in our business too. It's super easy to have even just a simple MailChimp newsletter template. We use RealVolve, which we have it automated, but we do a 2-minute video each week. And the 2-minute video is, depending on days on market, any kind of market update, or not just a market update, anything that could be lifestyle in the area, anything that establishes you as the authority, but also adds value that people want to see. So down here in Florida last week, what we did was a new construction update. Hey, just want to let you guys know, we, this just came out of the ground, blah, blah, blah. Now that goes out to them. And then all of a sudden you have that content that you can repurpose and use for your other social media postings as well. And I don't know if this is part of your thunder here, so I don't mean to steal it, but you can have a Facebook page dedicated just to that neighborhood or community. And then those posts can be curated for that as well.
Well, and that's the next step, Jay, is Facebook audiences. Now you created all the emails, from Cole, and then your own hard work, grinding it out, getting emails that are specific. Again, you got to create your own database that's Pine Oak subdivision, right? Well, now you can upload those same emails into Facebook and find your matches there and do a custom audience and create specific posts for Pine Oak subdivision. Again, not for Omaha, Nebraska. But by having posts that are specific to Pine Oak subdivision, and now these guys, what they're doing is they're getting emails from you. They're seeing you door knock. They're getting voicemails from you. And now they see you on Facebook. And it's like, oh my gosh, this guy is everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. And what happens is agents, homeowners want people to sell their homes that are working out there grinding it. Right. And they don't know that you're not doing this for all of Omaha, Nebraska, or all of Lincoln, Nebraska. In reality, you're just doing it for their specific neighborhood. But they're like, oh my gosh, this guy is everywhere. He must be the best, right? By owning the mind share of that specific neighborhood. And then, the next thing after that, all that stuff, you do all these things. And then the last step is, well, now you're going to get your own listings, right, from that. And then just don't, we have a client of mine, Don Bass, and he used this phrase, I gotta give it to him, but just don't leverage that listing, exploit it, right? So now is the time to let all of the neighbors know that you have a listing, right? And if they know if anybody wants to move into the neighborhood, it's, it's coming soon, it's just listed, it's under transaction, open houses, just sold. We had buyers coming through the house and we're still interested in your neighborhood, right? And exploiting that as a way to have as many conversations about that property.
Yeah, because if you're doing it the right way, number one, you're promoting the listing. The sellers love it, right? Number two, what you're doing is you're phrasing your language in such a way, and you're portraying the image to where, look, I am the market expert here. I am the authority in this market. And in addition to that, we have all of this activity coming up, on this listing. This is what can happen for you. This is the result you can get, the feeling you can have. So if you're doing it the right way, that's great. I love that. Exploit it.
Yeah. Right. And then what's going to happen, guys, is what you'll see is you're going to create a lot of long-term leads, right? So you're going to talk to people who are going to say, yeah, my daughter graduates in May, and then we might be looking to downsize, right? Or, yeah, we're probably a couple years out from moving. The kids are still too little right now. We're just not in that mode of wanting to move. So obviously those are leads you need to follow up with and put them in your tickler to keep on, doing drip campaigns with, following up with. But what you're also going to notice is when you start doing this, you're going to come across people who are like, I can't believe you just called me, Jay. Perfect timing. Like, my wife and I decided, yeah, it's time for us to move to a retirement home.
Hey, let me ask you on the so on the calls when you're dominating your farm, how often would you say the agents that you work with are making those calls on a periodic basis? They have the farm 2 years later. How often each year are they calling through the list?
Quarterly, probably, I'd say, right? I mean, emails at least once or twice a month, right?
Yeah.
Quarterly of just like random phone calls, right? Whether through it's a community event, through, just checking in, want to introduce myself, things like that. However, it depends how many listings you have, right? So if you got multiple listings, it's calling every time around that listing. So then you could be touching people a lot more through more touch points that way.
Yeah. And it's easy when you're doing this to add value on each one of those calls because you have a reason to call.
Exactly.
Hey, just want to let you know I got this new listing. Yeah, this is Jay. Oh, Jay, I get you postcards. Yeah, of course you do. No shit.
I remember I talked to Jeff Helms' name at an event, and he at a cocktail party. He came up and, oh, you're the cool guy, right? He's like, I just made $12,000 because of you, Tyler. And I was like, okay, please tell. And he's like, I never believed in those phone calls. I know that, my coach has been telling me to do it forever. And man, I called 35 one day. That's all I called was 35, Tyler. And I can't believe how happy the people were when I talked to them. Like, they were excited to hear that their neighbors listed and sell. And sure enough, one of them saw that my listing had sold. And so they were really interested in selling as well. So it's going out there and grinding it though, and making those phone calls. You could go out there and, wait for the phone to ring, or you can go out there and, make it happen yourself.